Hey there folks, the number one Sturgill Simpson, Johnny Blue Skies fan here with another album review, and today I want to talk about the new Johnny Blue Skies record, Passage du Desir. Passage du Desir, the first full-length studio album to be put out by country singer-songwriter Sturgill Simpson under the new Johnny Blue Skies pseudonym that he's going under, and I feel like in a way this record is a continuation of where the Sturgill Simpson name left off. After all, for many years at this point, whether he has intended to be or not, Sturgill Simpson has become one of the sort of spokespeople for the alternative country scene at large alongside a couple of other notable individuals, and that's largely thanks to the great success of records like 2016's A Sailor's Guide to Earth. But this record right here, Passage du Desir, does feel like a bit of a rebirth for him, in part because of the new name, but also in part because it features some of his best material to date. And some of his most middling material to date. It's kind of a complicated record. On one hand, you have some of the most beautifully written and performed songs of Simpson's entire career on this record, not just in recent years, I mean from day one onwards. Tracks like the epic 9-minute closer, One for the Road, being a phenomenal ending piece to this album that doesn't manage to overstay its welcome despite approaching nearly double digits of minutes in terms of runtime, and especially the stunning Jupiter's Faerie, maybe the single best song that Sturgill Simpson has put out in his entire career so far, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that. It's an absolutely heart-wrenching song about a friendship between two people until they drift apart, and years later the narrator goes back to reach out and rekindle that friendship, only to find out that their friend took their own life a year prior to the narrator reaching out, and ultimately it becomes this really heartbreaking song that's a meditation on fragility of bonds between people, the nature of friendships, reminiscing on those that we've lost, and it is ultimately, again, maybe the single most beautifully written song of Sturgill Simpson's entire career up to this point, which is a bit odd considering it comes from the very first full-length attempt he's made under the Johnny Blue Skies name, but truly, I do think if you were going to listen to one singer-songwriter-y country kind of song this year, Jupiter's Faerie would definitely not be the worst choice that you can make. Absolutely gorgeous track. Even instrumentally, the way that the verses are extremely subtle, but then things really swell up dramatically during the chorus. Just a really phenomenal track that I could say absolutely nothing bad about. And if that song, as well as the album closer, One for the Road, represented the overall quality of this record at large, I really do think this could have been not only a magnum opus for Johnny Blue Skies / Sturgill Simpson, but also maybe one of the best albums of the year. On the other hand, there are some really middle-of-the-road tracks here. Maybe some of the most mediocre material Sturgill Simpson has put out in a while, if I'm being completely honest. I find myself especially not fond of the more soft rock, yacht rock kind of tendencies on a couple of tracks here. For example, Scooter Blues and Right Kind of Dream. Just songs that feel wildly disinteresting and flat at times, with really nothing to latch onto besides some solid production. And there's no denying that solid production is a consistent across this record, as is decent songwriting, but at large, it just doesn't feel like a number of tracks here do much at all. I mean, for the most part, this record is split between some of the best songs of his career and some of the most mediocre songs that he's put out in a few album cycles at this point. In this way, I really do feel extremely torn about Passage du Desir as a record. I mean, it has the makings of a magnum opus at times. There are a couple of tracks here that really do reflect that. Some of the most perfectly written, produced, arranged songs of the year so far, at least as far as singer-songwriter cuts go. Yet, at the same time, there's too much material here that feels outright unmemorable for me to really say that I'm head over heels in love with this record. And even if the production is consistently solid and the songwriting is predictably consistently strong, that doesn't really do much when I don't walk away remembering much of a lot of the cuts here, even after multiple listens. That being said, if you do take anything at all away from this review and you are considering maybe giving this one a shot, but now you feel kind of worry about that and you maybe don't want to listen to the full thing, at the very least, please do yourself a favor and listen to Jupiter's Faerie, one of the most stunning tracks of the entire year so far for me, no question. I am, however, unfortunately going to give this record 3 stars out of 5. And with that being said, that's the end of this quick album review. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.